Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili.
Hello and welcome. I'm Africa 54 Managing Editor Vincent McCarthy in for Hashtag the You What. It's Thursday, January 5th. This is Africa 54.
Pope Emeritus Benedict with Basilica today after a funeral led by his successor, Pope Francis. VOA's Esther Githwe-Ewart has details. 6 votes, but still no U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives. Congressman Kevin McCarthy's pursuit of the gavel may be in peril. CES 2023, the biggest consumer electronics show around, opens today in Las Vegas. VOA's Julie Tabo previews the products, sights, and sounds of the show. All this and much more on today's Africa 54.
We begin our broadcast at the Vatican, where the former Pope Benedict was laid to rest on Thursday in a funeral attended by thousands and led by Pope Francis. VOA's Hashtag the You What has more.
Pope Francis presided at the funeral of former Pope Benedict on Thursday, giving a homily that compared his predecessor to Jesus before tens of thousands of mourners at St. Peter's Square.
Misericordiae Tuae, Pater Clementissime.
Benedict's death on December 31 ended an unusual decade of the former and present Pope living side by side in the Vatican. Benedict shocked the world by resigning nearly a decade ago, the first Pope to do so in 600 years, instead of reigning for life. He remained a hero to Catholic conservatives as pallbearers carried the coffin away. Cries of Santo Subito or Saint Now arose from the crowds. People from all over the world, many from Benedict's native Germany, arrived overnight to say farewell. Clergy, thousands of faithful, and just a handful of world leaders, because when Benedict died, he was no longer head of the Catholic Church. About 200 people filed past Benedict's body while he was lying in state. An account of Benedict's papacy and items, including Vatican coins minted during his reign, were tucked into his coffin. Written in Latin, the account says he fought with firmness against sexual abuse by clergy in the church. But some critics, including victims, have accused him of seeking to protect the church at all costs. Francis, who arrived in a wheelchair troubled by a bad knee, has made it clear he would not hesitate to step down one day if his health prevented him from carrying out his duties. However, Vatican officials doubted he could do this while Benedict was alive. Benedict will rest in the underground Vatican grottos at his own request. Esther Githwe-Ewart, VOA News, Washington.
Well, to East Africa now, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan has lifted a ban on opposition political rallies after her predecessor John Magufuli imposed the measure. In an interview with Samir Rohuza, a Tanzanian political analyst, Africa 54 anchor Esther Githwe-Ewart asked him what the lifting of the ban means for opposition politicians and political activists.
Actually, the public rallies were blocked by the police following the speech of the president, Magufuli, and was not written in presidential decree.
So Samia has now said that the ban has been lifted so that the political parties can gather, you guys can have some rallies. And so what does this lifting of the ban mean for politicians and political parties, political activists in Tanzania?
First of all, the ban was not a presidential decree, because the presidential decree has to be written, but it wasn't written. The police blocked the rallies following the presidential speech, and not the presidential decree. So the lifting is I mean, we'll open up the parties to participate in political activities in Tanzania, because the Constitution allows the multipartyism in Tanzania.
So, Sam, is this move going to be enacted into Tanzanian law to cushion politicians from being arrested or imprisoned?
It's alarming, I can say, because she was not straight on allowing the Laris and speak whatever they want, but also she cautioned that her chowers will be monitoring the speech.
Does this also allow politicians, let's say like Tundu Lissu, who was shot and maimed, to return to Tanzania and freely be able to engage in political debates or rallies, rather than where he is right now, having sought asylum in Belgium?
It is not that free, I can say, because there is a committee, which we don't know which committee, because she said, my committee will be following the speeches, the rallies. That is what she said. So we don't know that committee, I mean the agendas of the committee.
So for people outside of Tanzania who saw this news that the Tanzanian president has lifted a ban on political rallies, this ban has been in effect since Magufuli's time, that's about 6 years ago. What do you consider in her speech that is a key element of her announcement?
At first, I can say she made a good move, because it's something which we fought for, and we expected it to be, but at least she's spoken. And I don't think if her party will like the speech. I don't think so, because her party is very happy on opposition not doing the rallies. So this one, she went against her party, I can say so.
Well, that was Samir Hoza, a Tanzanian political analyst, speaking to Africa 54 anchor Esther Githuiwat. Well, back here, the U.S. House of Representatives convenes again Thursday after Republican Kevin McCarthy lost 3 more rounds of voting Wednesday in his bid to become the next Speaker of the House. A group of conservative lawmakers withheld crucial support for McCarthy in multiple rounds of voting as the party takes over majority control from the chambers. Democrats, Republicans are opposing McCarthy's candidacy, say the debate is a sign of a healthy democracy.
Do you want to vote tonight? Guys, stop at the threshold.
I think it's probably best let people work through some more.
Let's go back. Guys,
I don't think
scoot back
tonight does any difference, but I think voting will.
Do you have a deal with those guys right now?
No, not yet, but a lot of progress.
Does that mean no vote tonight?
I don't think voting tonight is productive. I think let people work a little more.
Thank you.
Well, but the conservative talk show hosts criticized Republicans for the delay and acknowledged conservatives' concerns about McCarthy.
The American people, they voted for governance. They voted for oversight. They voted for checks. They voted for balances. They didn't vote for Republicans to go to D.C. and waste time and bicker among themselves and grandstand.
McCarthy is not especially conservative. He's, in fact, ideologically agnostic. He's flexible. His real constituency is the lobbying community in Washington. So if you've got sincere political beliefs, that is infuriating.
Well, on liberal news outlets, Democrats emphasized their support for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker, although there are not enough Democratic votes to elect him.
No defections, that Democrats are here. We're not going anywhere. And if they want to play ball, we're open to that.
I just think it's a little embarrassing it's taking so long in the way they're dealing with one another. And the rest of the world's looking. They're looking at, can we get our act together?
Well, the U.S. House of Representatives is at a standstill and cannot function, let alone swear new members into office until a new speaker is elected. Lawmakers are trying again Thursday. Now, Kevin McCarthy's bid for Speaker of the House is floundering in his quest for a 218-vote majority in the 435-member chamber. For more on the Republican chaos in the House, VOA's Ignatius Ano reports live from Capitol Hill. Hello, Ignatius.
Hi, Vincent. How do you do?
Oh, I'm fine. Now, the drama continues, and for those of our viewers watching, they're kind of wondering, where does this lead us to on Thursday?
Well, in about a few minutes from now, the 7th vote will be underway at the U.S. Capitol. When Congress came to office on Tuesday, the main conversation for them is to elect a Speaker of the House, essentially to ensure the votes that are needed for funding that would allow basic government function to go ahead, including the passage of some legislation, and essentially to undertake its oversight responsibility. That's not happening at this time because we're in day 3. There's been 6 votes so far. 3 was held on Tuesday, 3 yesterday, and with all those votes, Kevin McCarthy, the representative of California, failed to get the 218 votes that is required to be elected the leader of the House. Now, you know that there are roughly 20 Republicans who are still hard on to say that this man will not be the Speaker of the House because he essentially doesn't allow the voices of Republicans to be heard enough on the floor of the House. And one of the key reasons they are saying is that they want at least one Republican representative to actually call for a snap election that will ensure that he steps down if elected as the Speaker. And he's saying that at least he wants 5 of the Republicans to be named. And so that's where we are at this moment. A lockdown in the history of the United States in 100 years.
Now, Ignatius, somebody in Africa watching may want to ask, well, this is probably a demonstration of democracy at work. What did you say?
Well, again, well, that's a valid question. It's democracy at work, but pundits in this country are saying if it is democracy at work, you wanted a majority in the House of Representatives. And you recall, Vincent, coming from the November midterm elections, the Republicans wanted a red wave, essentially to govern. They did not get that, and so they were expecting that at least, you know, the Republicans would not be holding Congress up until this point. It's been 72 hours since Congress convened the 118th session, and there's no business. It's still deadlocked on who will lead the House.
And the other question is, why continue holding these rounds of votes if you're not getting enough votes? What is the logic behind this?
The logic is that Kevin McCarthy has not done enough. In his leadership as a Republican leader in the Senate, they're saying that he's not been able to lead as we expect him to over the years, and there is no way we're going to be able to trust him to be the second in command to the White House after Vice President Kamala Harris. And you also know that the Speaker of the House actually is the first or the only congressional leadership that is enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. So it's a very big deal.
And so we expect more drama today, and hopefully there will be some end to this drama.
We're not too sure, Vincent. You know, the Republicans are also putting their weight behind Byron Donald, who is a representative of Florida, the very first black man who's actually also come up to be nominated to be the Speaker of the Senate. And so we're not too sure how this is going to go. In 1923, it went to 9 rounds before a Speaker was elected. There's going to be the 7th round in a few minutes from now, and it's still uncertain what lies ahead.
We'll be watching. Ignatius, thank you very much. That's VOA's Ignatius Ano reporting from the Capitol. Now, we want to go back to the first story on the burial, on the death of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. And now, for more reaction on his death, we spoke to Father Joseph Mary Sembunya, Chancellor of the Kampala, Uganda Archdiocese.
Pope Benedict XVI was one of the greatest brains, the greatest popes the church had ever had. Right from his childhood, he was a great theologian. In Germany, he was known. He was bishop, of one of the biggest dioceses, Archbishop of Munich. That's the biggest Catholic diocese in Germany. And he managed to steer that until he came to Rome. All the time, he was a professor. He wrote many books. As a student in Rome, and all of us doing theology, we all remember something about Pope Benedict, writing from a whole scope of theology. He was just an accomplished theologian. He could speak about almost anything, very lucidly, but very deep. Remember his last work he wrote to us, Jesus of Nazareth. People read it, and like, up now we're still reading and writing about it. It was so deep, and that's how deep he was. In theology, in church history, in liturgy, he was a profound person. Yet he always considered himself a humble servant in the vineyard of the Lord. And we thank him for having, at that age, accepted to take up the mantle of Pope. As a student in Rome, I was blessed to meet him one-on-one. And one funny thing happened. I had my flag of Uganda. I remember those memories. I have that photo with me. I was waving the flag of Uganda. And as he came greeting the priests in Rome, he stopped by me and asked me in German. My German was not that good at that time. He says, "Are you German?" And I looked at a black German servant with a flag. I said, "Holy Father, I'm Ugandan." And then looked at my flag a few seconds and observed. You know, the flag of Germany and Uganda are very close. It's black, yellow, red, but ours is twice. So he was happy, and then like, "How is Cardinal Amala?" And that touched me because he never came to Uganda, but he had a memory of people from all over the world. He had a deep knowledge and consciousness of the universal church and the world.
Well, that was Father Joseph Mary Sebunya, Chancellor of the Kampala, Uganda Archdiocese. Well, still to come, the latest smart technology and gadgets are on display in Las Vegas. We'll have a report.
"2022 was an emotional year for women worldwide. From the abortion debate sparked by the overturning of Roe v. Wade here in the United States, to more recently the Taliban suspending higher education for all female students in Afghanistan. We also have the splendid images from Qatar of Moroccan mothers dancing and celebrating their sons' victories as the Moroccan team advanced to the quarterfinals at the World Cup. What a year. On this week's episode, my co-host and I will be reviewing some of the biggest events that we covered last year. Be sure to join the conversation each week on Our Voices.
In other news, the Africa CDC's acting director, Ahmed Oguel Ouma, says if no new cases of Ebola are reported in Uganda by January 10th, then the outbreak will be over. Ouma says that it has taken around 70 days to bring the outbreak under control, with 142 confirmed cases and 55 deaths. French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna says France continues to back its envoy in Burkina Faso despite a request by the Burkinabe government to replace him amid growing anti-French sentiment. Relations between France and Burkina Faso, a former French colony in West Africa, have deteriorated after repeated military coups. And online retail giant Amazon has announced that it will cut more than 18,000 jobs from its workforce. The company cites the uncertain global economy and the fact that it had hired rapidly during the COVID pandemic. Well, the 2023 Computer Electronics Show opens Thursday in Las Vegas after an unusually low turnout last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and supply chain issues. VOA's Julie Tabor shows us some of what to expect.
The latest innovations in digital health, transportation, and the metaverse are just a few of the technological breakthroughs on display at the CES 2023 Consumer Electronics Show. This year's theme is technology helping to address the world's greatest challenges.
We've partnered with a UN-affiliated group, the World Academy of Arts and Sciences, to showcase how technology is supporting what we call human securities or human rights.
Examples include
food security, access to food, environmental security, so sustainability, mobility is a category we actually added, political security is another one.
Show organizers expect increased focus on the metaverse, a shared digital reality connecting users, and on Web 3 or Web 3.0, which proponents describe as the third generation of the World Wide Web.
We've actually partnered with CoinDesk,
a new site specializing in Bitcoin and digital currencies,
to build a studio on the show floor to showcase these types of Web3 applications.
From the internet highway to the interstate, automobiles have always had a major presence here, with more than 300 auto industry exhibitors showing off their latest products. Organizers say there's also growth in marine technology, with more and more boat manufacturers moving towards sustainable forms of energy. The battery-operated Waste Shark is an autonomous surface vessel designed to remove algae, biomass, and floating pollution such as plastics from lakes, ponds, and other coastal waterways. Waste Shark will be present at the show with a newer model, the Mega Shark, slated to debut later in the year.
There's a lot of people doing really great stuff out of the ocean and cleaning that up. Our mandate for our company is to clean it before it goes into the ocean and makes it worse. So we're trying to sort of what we call capture that waste at source before it pollutes the ocean.
In digital health, the show will include products for people with visual impairments such as age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD.
What a person with AMD, as an example, would see is when they're looking at your face wouldn't have any features. It would just be sort of flesh tone.
As seen in the simulation.
And then you put the device on, and just without any manipulation, you might be able to see, oh, there's some eyebrows, or there's a mouth, there's some eyes.
And as the simulation shows, as you zoom in, it literally shrinks away.
And that's one of the things that's really important from a facial recognition perspective, because so much of communication is that seeing the reaction.
Representing the best of global technology, with nearly 1/3 of its exhibitors from outside the U.S., CES 2023 will also focus on sustainability, with cleaner, more energy-efficient products for the home and workplace. Julie Tabo, VOA News.
Well, for more on the latest smart technology and gadgets, let's go to Las Vegas, Nevada, where VOA's Hasuna Baishu is standing by live via Skype. Hello, Suna.
Hi, Vincent. How are you?
I'm fine, and you know what? Those in Africa watching us first want to know how much representation is there of Africa?
Well, until now, we only got to speak to one representative from Burkina Faso, but we also learned today that there will be an assigned aisle for 20 African startups today at the opening. The opening will be in an hour or less. And we'll get to speak to African participants whatever we find them. It's extremely difficult to navigate this place because it's huge. I'm speaking to you right now at the convention, Las Vegas Convention Center, the exquisite Las Vegas Convention Center, where the CES 23 is being held. Just to give a background of this event to our audience, this show goes all the way back to the 60s. Where it was first held in New York City. Back then, it only features home appliances, TVs, and radio. But over the years, the show has evolved to become a showcase for the latest and greatest in technology.
Yes.
Vincent?
Now, for those who want to kind of find out if there's a technology they can use, especially on the continent, what are some of the things being displayed that are really very practical for those, especially across the continent of Africa?
Well, when I actually spoke to a representative from a Burkina Faso startup, and it's the company called Unipay, and one of the products that they're having on display this year has to do with trash collecting. And as we move in towards the opening later today, we'll be able to conduct an interview with this startup. Again, it's the only African country that we are at least verified that it's participating in this event. So for our audience, just be on the lookout for this interview on voaafrica.com and also on our social media platforms.
Yeah, and in terms of just some of the technology that is usable, I mean, there are all sorts of gadgets, but there are also things that have been invented, like for collecting algae. I saw there perhaps for water filtration and stuff like that. Are there some of those that you would see being used by communities on the continent?
Well, so far, as I told you, Vincent, there's very rare and very few information about the African participants in this event, and we are going to track down those. And once we find more information, we're definitely going to let you know.
I know, but let's just talk about one more thing in terms of the time. The last time it was held was some time back, and what are some of the things that have changed in terms of what you're hearing regarding this particular show since the last time?
Well, as you know, in the last couple of years, COVID-19 impacted the turnout of this event heavily. The organizer, according to them, this year will attract about 100,000, more than 100,000 attendees, at least by the time this event will conclude on Sunday. So there are going to be lots of people and lots of products and lots of opportunities.
Well, we'll be watching and we'll be talking to you. Hasuna Baishu reporting for us from Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you very much. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Lino Khmudu, in Washington every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
From around the world, let's go.